What's up, you guys? James Strickland here. Welcome to week 35 on my road to 700 pounds on bench. So this week, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a recap on what I'm doing in my bench training on my road to 700 pounds. Thinking about a meet probably sometime in the summer if everything goes well. Really don't start planning a meet until I'm about 600 pounds or so. This week, our top set was 585 for 2, so we're getting real close. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the weekly recap and show you some highlights from this week. Not going to show you everything. If you have any questions about like the specifics of my training, definitely shoot me a comment, message me. Definitely will help you out. I'm not afraid to share that with you. I just don't want to go through it on every single video. What I'm going to do in the next few recaps is just show you the main highlights of the video, and then any changes that happen from this video forward, I'll just give you those changes and show you the main sets. My training lately has been bench only. I am keeping squats and deadlifts in the mix just to keep my strength up. I definitely think it helps to keep legs in the mix when I'm trying to gain mass. If you guys have noticed, I've definitely put on some size, sitting about 15 pounds heavier than I was at the last competition. And I want to keep lean. I don't want to be real bulky and not being able to move. Being this heavy is not real comfortable as it is. It's solely for the strength aspect. But I definitely want to stay healthy. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping my legs in the mix. That gives me a good, well-rounded strength profile, and I will be able to go forward with any kind of full power meets that I might want to do in the future. Definitely plan on doing Boss of Bosses this year in August. So if everything goes well for a summer meet for bench only, then I will be ready for some squat deadlift in August if I can keep my squat and deadlift just in there a little bit. They're kind of in a maintenance mode. You'll know I'm not going super heavy, but I'm definitely, almost an 800 pound deadlifter, definitely about a 750 squatter. And so keeping my squats in the 600s, my deadlifts in the 650s, maybe even the 700s is okay. It's not super heavy for me. I'm not looking to max out on those lifts, and I really don't look to max out on any of my lifts until meet day. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into the highlights of this week's bench training. So I got a little outlook of what I do typically on a given week here, and you can pause that if you want to take a look at that a little bit longer. We're going to jump right into the main set for this week. This is my 585 for 2 that I was telling you about. This is using the new grip, which is a little bit wider than you might have seen in the past. Definitely keeping true to still close grip. It's just a little bit wider than you've probably seen me do. Getting used to this weight, I had to back it down. So from a 640 at the last meet, we backed it down to about 500 for a few reps, and we've built it up to 585 for 2. This is about 5 weeks into training here. Some solid movement here. No side to side, very stable with this new grip. I'm feeling very confident putting 600 pounds plus on it in the next few weeks. This is my secondary set. This is speed bench, solid pause, same grip width, and this is for 510 for 2, and there's 3 total sets here. Just showing you one. And then I move on to a wider grip. This is pinky on the rings. This is just an accessory movement with 445, 2 sets of 6 to really work on getting those pecs engaged. I don't want to work those pecs too much with heavy volume and heavy weight at the same time, just because I don't want to risk having a pec tear. This is the first week of dips, doing body weight here. So just really working on getting a solid pause at the top that really stresses that the triceps get worked. And next week we're going to throw a little bit of weight on this, so this is just getting us tuned up and getting ready with the movement. Definitely being 305 pounds waking on average. This is about 15 pounds heavier than my body weight dips were the last training cycle, so I have to take that into account. This is one of many back exercises that I do in a given week. Probably hit back about 6 times. You can definitely refer back to that first slide where I show what I do on a daily basis and just kind of count the number of back workouts I do. Really get a good squeeze on all these exercises. Definitely feeling it in the back when I go to bed at night on any given night. This is a new exercise you guys have seen me do. This is a cable Y raise, really working on the shoulders. This is great because my shoulders have definitely taken a beating from going a little wider. Now I say that carefully because when I say they've taken a beating, I do not mean they're injured. If they started being injured in any way, I don't mind going back to a closer grip. But shoulders and pecs are definitely the two things I want to keep healthy. Moving on to some accessories for the pecs, some seated cable flies. Really working on getting a good stretch here and solid pause in the middle here, just to really work those pecs. About this time of the day, my bench day usually takes about 3 to 4 hours. Most of that training time is only about 30 minutes worth of actual weight time. The other time would be just resting between sets and really just making sure that I'm getting a solid recovery so that I can move on to the next set. The weight is just heavy enough to where I'm feeling it, but not so heavy that I'm maxing out. This last accessory here for this particular day is the banded push down. This is about a 30-pound band. This is really great for the elbows, keeps them healthy. It is a little bit taxing, mostly because of the lactic acid that builds up. It's definitely not a hard exercise to do, but doing 2 sets of 100 with this will give you a little bit of a burn, but that's a good thing. Really does keep the elbows in check. So if you're having elbow problems, that's something that you might look at implementing. So this is my squat day. I figured I'd show you this because it is kind of heavy. I'm working on sets of 5 on my deadlifts and my squats. And so this week is one of about 5 weeks that I've been working with 5s. Probably will go another couple weeks if everything works out well and I don't feel like the RPEs are too high. This is 600 for 5. This is a PR of the gym for me. Felt really good. This probably puts my 1 rep max at the current moment. I would say probably about 720 or so. Best in a meet is 705. I would love to, at the next meet, be able to go 750 or more. And I think that's definitely possible with the extra weight that I've put on. And we haven't even started ramping up the squats because obviously we're in maintenance mode right now. So kind of excited to see how that goes, but I want to keep my legs in the game just to keep, like I said earlier, just want to keep myself lean. And if I'm just doing bench, basically walking around with no legs, and that's not a good look. But I also think that it really does help with leg drives, core stability. There's a lot of different aspects of doing legs that helps with your bench. But I don't want to go super heavy on my bench, my squat and deadlift days, because I don't want it to affect my recovery for bench, and that is my main concern right now. Another back exercise is a 210 here for 3 sets of 9 on lat pull downs. Really getting a good stretch at the top. Really opens up that back. I really like how these feel. This is a core staple in my back training. Lat pull downs, neutral grip pull downs, wide grip, specialty bars, all sorts of things. We can really work into that. But so that's it for the weekly recap highlights of my bench week anyways. I will show you guys some of the training that I've been doing for my deadlifts, just because I have it on stock and I want to show you guys kind of what's going on with that. It's not my focus right now, but like I said, weighing in about 305. I eat about 3 major meals a day. I'm sitting around 8,000 calories. I don't really count them, but I have counted them in the past, and I know about what I eat on a daily basis, and that doesn't change very much. It's typically the same thing. I eat a lot of chicken, a lot of beef. I definitely eat sandwiches and things like that, snacks. I like to snack quite a bit. I try to keep it pretty clean. I don't eat a lot of junk food. I'm not sitting at McDonald's every day, things like that, but I do have to eat a little bit dirty to get the extra calories in. So I will eat some ice cream and I'll eat some cookies and cakes and things like that, but that's not a staple in my diet. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I'm doing on my deadlifts. I'm pretty excited about this because deadlift has never really been a strength of mine. It's really just kind of been, I would say, my weakest lift, but I don't think it's, I don't know if I could really call it my weakest lift anymore. So here we go. I'm gonna start off. This was several weeks ago. This is a warm-up lift up to a heavy single. So that was 585, and I like the way that moved. Secondary warm-up here, being 675. This was always an elusive number for me, and now it's just a daily routine almost. Not really. It's not a daily routine. This is a shout out to my sponsor there, Skull Smash. This is a gym, not a PR, but a matched PR, and definitely being not in meet prep, this is a huge number for me. And I would not say that this was a max by any means, but I don't want to go any heavier. And honestly, if you look at that bar, I can't put much more weight on it without going up to 765. That's 675 and then a bumper plate there. So try not to ramp it there. When I took a look at this video, I was actually pretty happy with it. When I did it, I actually thought I ramped it. But either way, training lift, not a big deal. This was when I started my sets of 5, and that was a back down set actually, a 610 for 5. And this was at the time a PR. So what the plan was is to go up as I felt necessary each week until I actually recently changed and said, okay, I'm going to go squats 1 week, deadlifts the next week, heavy. So this would have been 3 weeks later, worked up to 650 for 5, and was very pleasantly surprised that this wasn't a horrible max out event. Of course, like I said, my priority is bench, so I don't want to be risking injury or maxing out on any other kind of weights. But knowing that my deadlift is 650 for 5 on basically a training day, and then my squat's 600 for 5, I'm actually pretty happy. So on my off weeks, I'm just showing you what I did this week. This was on a Friday. Just went ahead and kept the deadlifts light this particular week since I went heavy squat, and just went for 2 sets. And one was 10 and this one was 15. Basically cardio. I probably could have put another 15 or 20 pounds on this, maybe more, and still had done the same number of reps. I couldn't have done more reps just because it's a lot of work. And being as heavy as I am now, it's a lot of cardio. So, well, that is basically it for this week's deadlifts. So the plan next week is going to be 600 for 2 on my bench day. I'm going to hit that Monday. If everything feels good, I'll continue on with my leg training, which I'll go probably Wednesday and hit some lighter squats, probably in the 500 range for a few sets of 5 or so. And then deadlift day this particular week will be a little heavier, so I'll probably try to go for 660 for 5. And as long as the RPMs on my odometer basically, or my RPMs don't go up too much, I think I'll keep those 5s in there for a while. If they start getting a little too heavy, either I'll back off or I'll go to 3s. And I think that aligns pretty well with keeping myself healthy for a bench only meet. Sometime, probably end of June, looking at a few meets, looking at a few dates to see what would work out. So if everything works out, go for 705 plus. I'm not limiting myself to any particular number. 700 plus is the goal. So definitely be looking forward to that. I'll keep you guys in the loop. Boss of Bosses is going to be in August, and I've committed to that. Dan Green out there has always treated me well. So definitely want to make an appearance out there. I'd like to do a full meet if I can, but if 700 doesn't go down before that, then Boss of Bosses will be the meet that I peak for. But if everything works out, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, I'm going to go for 700 earlier in the summer, and then go for full power, probably raw with sleeves. Thinking, it's obviously not a priority right now, but I think that the 750, 650 plus, 800, 830 could be a good number. Don't really have any goals in mind necessarily, but definitely looking to keep everything strong and stay true to being a powerlifter. So asked you guys last week to submit some Q&As so I could answer here on YouTube. And I did put it out on my Instagram channel, which is @SwimHack. So if you guys are over there, definitely follow me. But I'm going to share with you guys about 3 or 4 of those for this week. And then if you have any for next week, definitely submit to me, what you want me to maybe bring up, and I'll get you an answer for it. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys about that. I've got one from Instagram from RJ Mears, and he said, what inspired me to start lifting, and what are some tips for beginners? So what started me lifting was basically I stopped swimming, put on a little bit of weight, and I wanted to look good. I didn't want to have a gut on me, and so I basically just did it for physical fitness. I had no idea that I was going to be a decent lifter in the gym. I put up decent numbers. Bench press was obviously the priority. Started doing 450, 500, and I didn't think anything of it. I didn't know any better until actually I posted up a video back in 2012 of me doing 605 in the gym. Now it was ugly. It was definitely a bro lift, but I didn't know what powerlifting was at the time. Posted it up and had a couple trolls basically comment and say that would never pass in a powerlifting meet. And so that inspired me to figure out what in the world this powerlifting thing was. Had no idea. I was so ignorant to it. Basically got into a meet. It took me a couple years to actually compete, and started with under five, like 474 my first meet. And then it went up from there, and then was chasing the 600 for about 2 years. Everybody said, well, no, it's never going to happen. Well, now look at us. We're at 672 going for 700. And so I've heard all of the excuses. I've heard all the reasons why you shouldn't do this or why you can't do this. And if you're really wanting to do something, just do it. Just have fun with it. There's really no pressure, honestly. I mean, because if I never hit 700, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't bother me that much. I have other things that I can go for. But if I can do it and I'm healthy, why not? And I think that should be the thing with anything in life. If you have the ability to do it and you want to do it, just go do it. As long as it's not hurting anybody else. So the second part of the question was, tips for beginners. So I'm going to kind of approach this from a powerlifting standpoint. For beginners, I say just jump in. If you know the commands of the particular federation that you want to compete in, and that's the first thing, is you want to make sure that you find a federation. Just get online, Google it. USPA, USAPL, there's APF, there's like 30 different, there's a lot of different federations. You can get on there and find one in your area and learn the commands, learn what you need to do, and train for that. Don't think that you're going to do some national record your first meet. Don't care about that. Don't care about cutting. Don't do any of that stuff. Just go in and have fun. Literally give yourself about 12 to 16 weeks of training and just go in there and have fun. Learn. Whoever's there, I promise you, powerlifting is one of those sports where everybody is willing to help you out. And if you need any help with that, just hit me up. I'd gladly answer any questions that you have. But the tips for the beginners, the biggest one is have fun and don't take it too serious. It really is a sport that's just supposed to be fun. You don't want to be trying to chase world records on your first meet. That's just not fun. So the second question that I have is from Tony H. right here on YouTube. And it's the best back exercises for bench. So I am a huge advocate for seal rows, and that can be with barbell, can be with dumbbell. You can do them bent over, kind of at a pendulum style. You can do them head supported. You can do them on an incline, face down. You could do them on a bench, face down, elevate the bench if you can. There's a lot of different ways. You can do one arm rows. You can do lat pull downs. I mean, you name it. There's probably 100 different back exercises you can do. And if you just check out my channel and just go back for the last 6 months or so, you'll see me doing a slew of them. Those, in a nutshell, are probably some of the best exercises you can do for your back. My favorite is the seal row, where it's face down on a bench. If you could elevate it probably about a foot or so off the ground, so you have clearance for the barbell, and use a barbell. Work up to maybe a set of 8 the first few times for maybe 3 sets for a weight that you can do and leave about 4 or 5 reps in the tank. Don't go all the way max out on that. And then each time you do it, maybe add 5 pounds until you master that weight, and then you can go up some more from that. So that's the back question. And the last question we have is from Instagram, Steve Byra. He asked, how do you warm up for a 1 rep max? So here's how you warm up for a 1 rep max. The same way you warm up all the time. It's no different. I get under any kind of weight and I warm up. The only thing that changes is the last few singles. So if I'm going in and let's say I'm doing a deload and my deload is 455, I go in there and I do the bar for probably 15 reps. Then I do 135 for maybe 10 reps or so. And it's really based on feel. Sometimes I may do 5 or 10 more or less. Then I work up to 225. Sometimes it's 5 to 8 on that particular one. When I get to 315, typically you'll see me do a single where it's basically just a pause single. Then I re-rack it and I kind of reset. Then I do 3 fast twitch activating reps. And that's just real quick speed reps. Sometimes they're not all the way locked out. They're just basically getting the weight moving. Then I start on my singles, and that's typically at 405. And then if I'm going to 455 for the day, 405 is my last single. I go right into 455 and I do my triple typically for a deload. If it's not a deload week, and let's say this particular week I went up to 585, what I did was 405 for 1, maybe 2, and then I go straight to 495. So I'm basically adding a 45. Go 495 for 1, rack it. Then I normally rest sometimes 5 minutes between each of the singles because it is a lot of weight. I wouldn't necessarily advise that if you're working up to like 225 as your max for that, or not max, but your exercise for the day. Maybe a couple minutes rest in between each warm up is probably fine. After I hit my 495, now I typically go straight to my working set, which was 585, and hit it for 2. Next week, we're working up to 600. Probably will be the same thing. I'll work up to 585 for 1. Then I'll put 600 on there and we'll hit the double. If I'm working up any heavier than that, typically I go throw the quarters on, or maybe 10s, and I kind of split it up from there. I don't want to add 45 all the way up to 675. But I do the exact same warm up as I do in a competition, as I do in a max, as I do in my deload. Don't change it up at all. If you're gonna need more warm up, the best thing you can do is, let's say you're working up to 315. Don't do 20 reps at 185. Do 20 reps at the bar. And then if you're gonna do 135 for 10 reps, and then you need another warm up, you're not quite warm, warm up with 155 and get a little bit, get your warmth on the lower weight, because your CNS is not being taxed. That would be the equivalent of me going in on a bench day, doing 500 for 1, not quite feeling warmed up, and doing 500 again for 1, not quite feeling warmed up. Well, the best course of action would have been to go 405 for maybe 3 sets, and then go 495. And I get my warmth in at the lower levels, because I'm not actually maxing and taxing my CNS. But that wraps it up for our Q&As for this week, and that wraps it up for the whole video. But I want to get you guys feedback on this new layout. See if you guys like it. Give me your critiques, criticisms, your feedback in a good way, bad way. I don't care what it is. Just let me know. I'm trying to make this the best for you guys, so you get more information out of me, so I can share my training with you going forward. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my website, benchonly.com. So on benchonly.com, I've got my training programs, and if you guys are interested in getting on a program, either a solid bench program or even full power squat and deadlift, let me know. It's really easy to check it out. I can definitely help you out through online coaching. If I have spots available, just inquire, and I'll let you know if those are available. But benchonly.com, and I can definitely take your feedback for the website. Also, I want you to check me out on Instagram if you haven't already, at SwimHack, and definitely hit the like and subscribe button for this video, and pay attention next week. I'm going to have some other stuff for you. See how that 600 for 2 goes down, and keep you guys in the loop. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll check you next week. See ya.